Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, from Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977, it's Thursday, and you know what that means. It's time for the TNA Event Center report. And now here's the man to give you all the total non-stop action and impactful report, Mr. Eric M. Lima.
Thank you very much, Mr. Announcer, sir. Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1990. Let's try this again. Welcome to yet another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977, and this is episode 2182 of the show. My name is Eric Lima. Thank you for being here, and hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Now, I should apologize once again. Last night I was unable to do, because they had AEW Collision on last night because of the playoffs happening this weekend for hockey. Also, I usually report on TNA after Rant and Rave. Rant and Rave went on to 11:30. Then what happened was TNA did a pay-per-view right after the show of TNA itself, a regular TNA episode. So I ended up watching that as well. So this is a two-part special to make up for it. And so this is what happened last night on TNA. Of the Laredo of the Aztec Warriors faced Jason Hotch of the Order 4, and Laredo did end up winning that matchup. Gia Miller interviewed Leon Slater as he takes on one-on-one Brian Myers in the main event matchup. Cody Deaner talks to Santino Marella about a chance, and Santino Marella decided to put him in a matchup to qualify for the X Division Championship at Ultimate X at Rebellion, and Cody Deaner says thank you. And Zaya Brookside went one-on-one with Jasmine Nix, and Fatal Influence tried to get involved in the matchup as well. As you know, this is the continuation of the NXT TNA partnership, and Rosemary hit JC Jane with the mist. I don't know if she did the same thing to Fallon Henley, but Zaya Brookside, who had Lei Ying Lee to watch her back, I think Lei Ying Lee was keeping Fallon Henley at bay, and Zaya Brookside ended up winning the matchup. Casey Navarro went one-on-one with Cody Deaner for a qualifying spot of the Ultimate X match for the X Division Championship, and Casey Deaner did address the St. Joseph's crowd before the match. Navarro interrupts Deaner, and then Navarro ended up winning the matchup, which Casey Navarro addresses getting at the Ultimate X to become the X Division champion. Maggie Lee, the newcomer to TNA, did address her victory, and so George Iceman, the personal concierge for the Elegance brand, introduces both Heather by Elegance and Maggie Lee as the lovely, curvaceous, babylicious Gigi Dawn teaming up with the equally weird Tatum Paxley as they go up against Maggie Lee and Heather by Elegance. And George Iceman got involved during the matchup. Big mistake there, fella. And Gigi Dawn, Tatum Paxley did win the matchup. But as they were backstage, they addressed the loss. But then the Meta Girls and Spitfire interrupt them. And then AJ Francis, who qualified already for the international title. As you know, the international title will be the first ever inaugural champion will be crowned at Unbreakable. AJ Francis plans to walk away with the title. Meanwhile, the champions of TNA, the world champion Joe Hendry and the Knockouts world champion Monster Slamovich, addresses their opponents Frankie Kazarian and Tessa Blanchard in a mixed tag match at Unbreakable. And one-on-one match of Dani Luna went up against Jakara Jackson of the Meta Girl, Dani Luna of Spitfire, and the former NXT UK standout defeated Jakara Jackson one-on-one. Meanwhile, Gia Miller introduces Elijah. Elijah had a concert for the St. Joseph crowd fans, and as he cited at Rebellion, he decided to issue the Who Wants to Walk with Elijah open challenge. Who wants to face him one-on-one. That's going to be a very interesting fun. And Ethan Page addresses the two opponents for Rebellion, Joe Hendry and Frankie Kazarian, As you know, Ethan Page this coming like tomorrow afternoon at Stand and Deliver, Ethan Page will challenge Ricky Saints for the men's North American title. Will he walk in Rebellion with that title and walk out with 2 titles? Interesting. We shall see. The main event, the high-flying Leon Slater took on Brian Myers. As you know, in the system, trying to get involved, but Brian Myers ended up winning that matchup in the end. And that was the countdown to Unbreakable, not to Unbreakable, which didn't go on until almost 1 o'clock in the morning. And I had to get some sleep. And despite the fact I went to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning, hey, I go, hey, you know, hey, I got up by the alarm, went to work, did my job, and then I got out. So let's talk about the first. Now, it kicked off with the first 2 round, the other 2 rounds, first round matches for the international title. In another triple threat matchup honoring the triple threat for the X Division title at the time, it was AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, and it was Eric Young, JDC, and Zachary Wentz of the Rascals, and EY ended up winning that matchup. Now, the second round was Ace Austin, Eddie Edwards, and Steve Macklin, and Macklin ended up picking up the victory. So Steve Macklin, Eric Young, and AJ Francis will do battle in the main event to crown the first ever TNA International Champion. Gia Miller interviewed Kazarian and Tessa Blanchard as they get ready for their matchup against Joe Hendry and Masha Slamovich. And the UNLV Rebels hockey team was celebrating their hockey victory. College Hockey in the system interrupts their celebration. Sean Merriman joins on commentary as the Moose Open Challenge. And who accepted that Moose Open Challenge for the X Division title? None other than Cindy Akeem, formerly known as Reggie in the WWE, the wine connoisseur for Carmella, former 24/7 champion. And despite Akeem's skills and all that, and despite the fact that he was Moose was distracted by the hockey team, then during the matchup, Moose and in fact Alicia Edwards gets involved by pulling the referee out of the way. She gets ejected from ringside, and Moose, despite all that, Moose ended up winning the matchup. So there's that, And so Eric Young was talking to Steve Macklin and said, hey, may the best man win for this title. Now, there's an interesting stipulation in the international title matchup, and that is this. Whoever does not get the pin will be the first person to get the shot at the title. So whoever gets pinned will not get a shot at the title, but whoever doesn't will get a first shot at the title against the new champion at Rebellion. So that match is up in the air. Trios matchup, Mike Santana and the Hardys to face Mustafa Ali and the Nemets. And Mustafa Ali keeps on chickening out. And so Santana chases Ali to the back during the matchup. But the Hardys and Santana end up winning the matchup. As Santana came back to chase Ali. In attendance, Tim Malcolm was one of the male celebrities, and in a shock, also in attendance, Debbie Gibson. I did not know she was a wrestling fan. You know, 80s singer Debbie Gibson, all grown up, gorgeous, still looking gorgeous. But Debbie Gibson, who follows me on X, I'm very honored. She's a wrestling fan. That's why she was following me. She knew I was a wrestling fan. Hey, who knew, right? And Victoria Crawford, guys, you recognize that? If you recognize her. Victoria Crawford, Alicia Fox. Will she be joining TNA as one of the newest knockouts? So, and JDC and Edwards, who are not very happy about not winning the matchup for the international title. Attack took their anger out on Trey Wentz. I would not be surprised. Not Trey Wentz. Zachary Wentz. I would not be surprised if Zachary Wentz did one or two things. Knowing Edwards was involved, I say Eddie and Alicia Edwards versus Zachary Wentz and Gigi Dolan. He'd probably recruit her in a mixed tag, or the Rascals versus JDC and Edwards. There you go. A little Massachusetts versus Rascals type of feud. The tag team matchup, Joe Hendry and Monster Slamovich, the champions of the World and Knockouts division, went up against Craig Kazarian and Tessa Blanchard. And during the match, Slamovich confronts Victoria Crawford during the matchup. I'll tell you one thing right now. If Victoria Crawford signs with TNA, the former Alicia Fox could add a little craziness to that Knockouts division. And but despite that, Slamovich and Hendry did end up winning the matchup. And then Mike Santana talked to Santino Morales and says, I'm sick and tired of Mustafa Ali running away. Can you do it? He said, how about this? False count anywhere match? You know what? Done. He goes, thank you. Then Marlon Greenwood, Andreas Hale, and Westside Gunn also in attendance, some celebrities. And then Ace Austin addressing the Las Vegas crowd and introduced Chris Bay. And Chris Bay, I'll tell you what, it was great seeing Chris Bay now. As you know, like 172 days ago, according to what he says, he was injured. He had a bad injury out in the ring, and now he's here, and now he's standing up on his own 2 feet, which, the fans gave him an ovation, showed him some love, and greatest story, he says, greatest story ever told. And you know what? Chris Bay is the man. I hope he does come back to the ring to be the ultimate finesser that he is. Hope him and, I'll tell you what. I have to respect Chris Bay. I'm going to respect him. I'll say a lot of good things about it because he's an inspiration. He's to people out there and who probably went through the same thing he went through, only in different situations. But a lot of people do support. I know Karen Cross and Scarlett showed their support for Chris Bay. A lot of people showed their love for Chris Bay. It is a really exciting day. Really exciting to see him on his feet again, talking to the crowd, talking to the people in Las Vegas. And it was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing to see. So keep on going, Chris Bay. You're the man. I'm telling you. You're the ultimate finesser, as always. And so we're getting back to the action. Barbed Wire Massacre, Sami Callihan versus Mance Warner. It got to the point where they had a barbed wire N64, Nintendo 64 controller. And leaving the Raywall and Hannafin to make video game references. I think it was Raywall goes, you think playing GoldenEye was a pain? And then Hannafin responded, well, WWF No Mercy was my favorite video game at N64. I'm like, I would say Mario Kart 64 rules. Let's drive some people. Yeah, and Nintendo 64 controller was used in the match. Whose idea was that? But in the end, Callahan ended up winning the match. In attendance, well, he's guest hosted Monday Night Raw before, Chris Angel. And I'm sure Chris Angel knows Santino Marella very well. I wouldn't be surprised if Santino Marella invited Chris Angel. Elijah serenades with the Las Vegas crowd with Walk This Way. Not the Run DMC, remember his own version of Walk This Way. So, main event was the International Championship matchup. Remember, the winner of this match will be International Champion and will defend the title at Rebellion against the person that did not get the pin. That did not get pinned in the matchup. So, AJ Francis, Steve Macklin, and EY, and Eric Young. And we have our first International Champion. None other than Steve Macklin. That's right, Steve Macklin is the first TNA International Champion. And since he pinned AJ Francis, that means at Rebellion, Steve Macklin will defend that International title against Eric Young. That's going to be the first ever title defense for Steve Macklin. Well, That is all the time we have on this episode of 2182 of Eric Lima Shenanigans 1977, TNA Unbreakable 2025. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Next up is the game of strategy, luck, knowledge, and daring. Playing some bullseye, finally. I will see you guys later. You guys have a wonderful day. Until next episode comes rolling around, Mr. Announcer, take us home.
That is all for today's episode of the show. This is Mr. Announcer speaking for Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. A Big Beefy E and do it for Bob Saget production, and in association with a Raving Bull for 3000 Telepictures and Distribution. Thank you for watching another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. See you later on the next episode of the show. Goodbye for now.